Good morning, everyone. Today I will talk about sustaining motivation in voluntary work. Voluntary work means helping others without payments. It includes activities like charity work, community service, and school events. Voluntary work is very important in society. It helps make people in need and makes our community better. However, to continue doing voluntary work, motivation is very important. Motivation helps volunteers may stay active and keep contributing over time. But in reality, many volunteers cannot stay motivated for a long time. So this leads to the problem that I will explain next. Now let's look at the problem why motivation declines. First, many volunteers feel a lack of recognition when their effort is not appreciated. They may feel unvalued. Second, time constraints as a big issue. Students and workers are often busy with studies, jobs, and personal life, so they have less time for volunteering. Third, burnout and emotional stress can happen. Help others all the time can be trying, both physical and mental. Next, some volunteers feel there is no clear goal or impact. If they cannot see results, they may lose motivation. Finally, poor management in some organizations can also affect volunteers. For example, unclearly text or bad communication can make the experience frustrating. All these challenges make it difficult for volunteers to stay committed in the long term.
Hello, Professor. My name is Zheng Xiaocun. My magic number is 216100. First, let's start to explore how to keep our volunteer motivation strong, using insight from psychologists and a practical framework. We see in this infographics. Let's start with the basic of motivation, as shown as in our PPT. Psychologists divide motivation into two core types: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivations come from within. It is the joy of helping others, the passion for the cause you support, and the sense of purpose you feel when you contribute to something larger than yourself. This is the foundation of long-term volunteer engagement. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, comes from external recognition, certificate, public appreciation, or small rewards from your work. Both types play critical roles in keeping us engaged. Now, let's turn to the key strategies highlighted in our next graphics. Make volunteers feel appreciated. Social psychological research confirms that precede appreciation directly concurrent with their with volunteers' retention rate. When volunteers feel the comfort is value, their self-determination's needs are met, significantly boosting their willingness to continue service. There are simple, effective ways to implement this. A sincere thank you after every shift, personalized certificate of contributions, or public recognition at team events or on organizational social media. These small acts increase volunteers' confidence, makes them feel their work matters, and strengthens their connections to the cause. But appreciation is just one of the equation. To sustain motivations long term, we also need to nurture intrinsic motivation. Try to match volunteer tasks with their personal interest and value. If you care about education, volunteers with after-school programs instead of administrative work. If that feel more meaningful, set more achievable goals for each volunteer session. so you can see the concrete impacts of your work, and most importantly, take time to reflect on the differences you have made. The family who received clothes you sort, the child who smiled when you give them a meal, the community's members who thank you for your support. These moments are the most powerful fuel for your intrinsic motivation. Remember, volunteers' work is a journey, not a one-time task. By balancing internal purpose with external recognition, and take intentional steps to nurture both your intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, you can keep your passion for services alive for years to come. Every contribution you make matters, and the world needs your unique energy and care.
Alright, moving on to the next two key strategies for staying motivated in volunteer work. First up, building a supportive team. Think about it. Volunteering can feel overwhelming at times, but when you are surrounded by the right people, it makes all the difference. A great volunteer team has three core factors: open and friendly communication. No one's scared to speak up, ask questions, or share ideas. Mutual help and cooperation. Everyone pitches in, whether it's covering a shift or helping with a task. A blame-free, encouraging environment. Mistakes are treated as learning moments, not failures. And the impact. It boosts how much you enjoy volunteering, and it directly reduces stress and burnout. When you feel supported, you don't just stay longer, you stay happier. Mm, it's hard to stay motivated if you don't know why you are there or what are you working toward. That's where the organization plays a huge role. They can help volunteers stay on track by communicating clear goals and objectives from day one, assessing defined roles and responsibilities so no one feels lost, and most importantly, highlighting the real impact of their work, because seeing how your help makes a difference is the biggest motivator of all. The positive effects here are twofold. It fosters a strong sense of meaning and purpose, and it cuts down on confusion and uncertainty. When you know exactly what you are doing and why it matters, it's so much easier to show up with energy every time. These two factors go hand in hand. A sportive team keeps you going day to day. The clear goals keeps you focused on the bigger picture. Together, they create a cycle of motivation that keeps volunteers engaged long term.
One important way to sustain motivation in voluntary work is through personal growth. Many people join voluntary activities because they want to help others, but during the process, they can also improve themselves. For example, volunteers can learn better communication skills when working with different people. They may also gain leadership experience by organizing activities or helping manage a team. Besides that, volunteering can help people become more confident and responsible. When volunteers see that they are improving and making a positive impact, they feel proud of themselves and more satisfied with their work. This personal development is important because it gives volunteers a sense of purpose and achievement. As a result, they are more likely to stay motivated and continue participating in voluntary work in the long term. So personal growth not only benefits the volunteers themselves, but also help volunteers organizations keep active and committed members.
Okay, now I will introduce the last important method to maintain the motivation of volunteers wise balance and flexibility. As volunteers, we are passionate about helping others. However, too much pressure can easily lead to burnout. If volunteering becomes stressful instead of meaningful, people may be motivation over time. So what can we do? First, we should have flexible schedule. Volunteers need time to balance their studies, work, and personal life. Second, it is important to ensure a reasonable workload. No one should feel overwhelmed or forced to do too much. Third, we must allow enough rest time. Rest is not a waste of time, it helps people recover and stay motivated. By applying these solutions, we can prevent exhaustion. At the same time, volunteers are more likely to stay engaged in the long term. In short, maintaining balance and flexibility is key to sustaining motivation in volunteer work. Now I would like to talk about how to improve volunteers' motivation using Cultural Soup Kitchen as a real-life example. Cultural Soup Kitchen is a non-profit charity organization in Kuala Lumpur. It provides food and basic living supplies for homeless people and people in need. This kind of volunteer work is meaningful, but also challenging. Volunteers may need to repeat similar tasks every day, such as preparing food, packing supplies, distributing meals, and communication with recipients. Because homeless has existed for a long time, volunteers will sometimes feel that their efforts are too small to solve the whole problem. In addition, long hours of work can cause physical fatigue, and seeing people in different living conditions can also create emotional pressure. Therefore, the important question is, how can we improve volunteers' motivation and encourage them to continue participating? The first way is to help volunteers set small and achievable goals. Instead of asking them to think about a very large goal, such as changing society, we can guide them to focus on something more immediate, such as helping more people receive meals today. When volunteers complete these smaller goals, they can feel a sense of achievement. This makes the work feel more manageable and meaningful. The second way is to provide immediate feedback. In volunteer work, feedback does not always have to come from managers or organizations. Sometimes, a simple thank you from a recipient or a smile from someone who received help can strongly motivate volunteers. This direct feedback allows volunteers to see the value of their actions. It reminds them that their effort is making a real difference. The third way is to build strong team support. Volunteers should not feel that they are working alone. When they work as a team, they can share tasks, encourage each other, and reduce stress together. Team support can also make repetitive work more enjoyable. A positive team atmosphere helps volunteers feel connected and respected. In conclusion, improving volunteers' motivation is not only about giving rewards. More importantly, organizations should help volunteers set clear goals, receive meaningful feedback, and feel supported by the team. The example of Cultural Soup Kitchen shows that when volunteers understand the value of their work and feel supported, they are more likely to stay active and motivated. Therefore, small goals, immediate feedback, and team support are effective ways to improve volunteers' enthusiasm. Thank you all for your listening. That's all for our group presentation.